All right. Hey, John, thanks for coming in. We've had videos that they don't need to be as formal, right? We sit and we talk about what's going on in the market. And what we've seen the past few years, I've described it as sort of a surge and a stutter step, a surge and a stutter step. And right now our rates have gone up. We all know that, right? And interest rates seem to be what everybody wants to talk about. It's sometimes at the expense of ignoring other conditions or things to think about when buying a home. And so I think what I want to get across today, and certainly with your mortgage guidance, is we need to get off the sidelines to buy. Help us understand why.
Well, I think the big talk is obviously the rates and values of homes. And rates don't always stay high. They come in cycles, right? And there's a lot of prediction in the next 2-3 years, could be a year from now, that rates will come down. And what will happen when that time actually happens? There's a high likelihood that when you bring in a lot more fish into the pond, well, they're going to bid up the housing again. And you could see, I think Zillow was saying something about 6 or 7%. There's some other people saying potentially 10 or 15%. You might see an increase in home prices. And that's why we kind of led to coming up with this kind of calculation for you.
Barbara Corcoran, who I love Shark Tank, right? Where she's proven herself as with her real estate expertise. And we have to always be careful that the things we're expressing are national numbers, right? And we always have to hyper focus on our local market. And our local market has certainly been steadily influenced by our lack of supply and increased demand. So what you broke down here, and certainly we're looking at, it'll be on their screen, is if people wait now, right? Interest rates are 7%. Newsflash, they're not going back down to 3. If they do, I'd love to be wrong. I'd love it, right? For everybody,
I will
right?
be very busy if
but
that happens.
they're at 7, right? So if they go back down, all those people that are waiting on the sidelines, that's where the surge is coming. The stutter step now is them saying, oh, well, the interest rates are X. I'm going to wait till they come back down 2%, 3%, whatever that case may be, which then increases the competition. Demand pricing, it then increases the prices. So what we're seeing now is, are they higher interest rates? And they want to say, yeah. And I know that our parents will say, well, back in our day, they were 18%, they were 13%. This is great. But the monetary benefit in avoiding more competition is there as compared to interest rates. Right? Additionally, it's also a market too. When you have less competition, we're seeing more favorable terms for a buyer, right? Depending on, and not every house is, we can't make too many generalizations. Obviously, we've got to hyper focus on each transaction, but with less competition, you have more of an opportunity for lack of, for increased contingencies and putting a more favorable package. So I think the big sentiment here is interest rates are, of course, of primary concern. But there's so much more to the analysis, and all of that says stop paying 100% interest and paying rent, and be aware of what could happen to our local market and what it does to your pricing. The big thing is, if you're looking for someone to, dial down what's your situation, whether it's in the housing, whether it's the mortgage industry, talk to us and let us guide you in your personal scenario.
Yeah, it might not be ready for them right now, but even if it's to help them guide 6, 12 a year from now. And that's what was interesting about these calculations we broke down. We took that into account, right? What kind of ballpark rates might be. Rates are a little bit lower than what we did the example for, but they very well could be higher in a month from now, right? But we do expect them to go down. And then what we went down on it, so we used an example of 7.5% as a rate, and we used an example as 6% as a rate, and how that would adjust over time if we bought a house today at X price with the higher rate, comparable to what that would refinance at in 2-3 years from now, comparable to what if I increase the sales price and do the same thing? Right? Because if you buy a house today or in 3 years from now, if you spent 10% more on it, you might owe $50,000 more on the house. Right? I mean, I think that's the biggest thing long term. And we kind of saw these calculations.
I think that's really the take home, right? We can break this down over and over again, and as they'll see. But interest rates are just a portion of the conversation, right? Give us a call. Happy to talk to you about mortgage rates. Happy to talk to you about your investment to see how this market can be opportunistic for you. John, always appreciate you helping out, being a resource.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.